Hey guys, it's Arx here and welcome back to my channel. We are back with another Akko Switch review, and today I'm very much excited as we are finally back on track with their new switches. Let's all take a look and listen at the piano switches, a linear switch from Akko. By the way, the switches was sent for review by Akko, but I wasn't paid to make the video, so of course I'll give you guys my honest and unbiased opinion about the piano switch. I'll go ahead and put Akko's link on the description down below. Now, a quick background about the piano switches. The switches is again a linear switch, and this only comes in pre-factory lubed, and they stated that it is hand lube with a Krytox 105 for the springs and 25 grade 0 on the switches itself. They call this their own standard factory lube, which was applied on the bottom housing stem and the springs. I also like that they added an additional details provided on their website with their own disclaimers about pre-factory lubes, and I'll link it down below. Now, a quick material breakdown for the piano switches. We have polycarbonates on the top housing, PA on the bottom housing, and of course, POM on the stems. Now, the switches have a 48 gram actuation force and a 53 gram bottom out force. So in today's video, it's going to be the usual, but there won't be a stock versus lube comparison as the switches are already pre-lubed. But we'll have a switch comparison versus the other Akko linear switch, and if you want to hear my thoughts and opinion about the piano switch, please do stick around at the end of the sound test, or feel free to check the timestamps. And speaking of sound test, let me give you guys a quick disclaimer before we start. That the sound and experience will vary depending on your keyboard build, meaning to say that it will sound and it will feel different depending on your board. We'll be using, of course, the Vega65 with the polycarbonate plates, a plate foam, and no case foam. Switches was lubed with the 205 grade 0, and the keycaps that was used was a dummy key set. So with all that out of the way, please do enjoy the sound test on the Akko piano switches. And that was the sound test for the piano switches. If you made it up to this point of the video, I'd like to say thank you for staying, and let me know what you think about them on the comment section down below, and let's have some quick discussions. Now let's talk about my thoughts and opinion on the piano switches. Finally, let's all talk about my thoughts on the feel. Out of the box, the pre-factory lube on these are just so smooth. Like, hands down, give it a good day of typing, and the pre-factory lube would settle in on the switches, giving that very smooth typing feel. I can definitely say that you can use the switches out of the box. By all means, use them, as it also didn't feel inconsistent for the pre-factory lube, and you would expect a very nice and smooth typing feel. Now, typing on it, it's decent and fair, typical Akko switches to be honest, with the 48 gram actuation force. Surprisingly, I didn't find it that light, and maybe I got used to it, or like I got used to the Akko switches. But the 53 gram bottom out force feels just about right, as you can feel the bottom out, but it's not that harsh. So it's more on that light to mid linear typing feel, and more on that snappy typing feel that you can get accustomed real quick. I can say that this feels a bit more solid than the air switches, and this might be my favorite CS switches so far. So in terms of the typing feel versus the cream yellows, I can say that this feels a bit more snappier, linear feel to it, as the cream yellows are more on that softer typing feel. Granted that this will cost you around $17.99 versus the $8.99 of the cream yellow, so it will boil down to your budget, and personally both are really nice for the typing feel, and you can't go wrong with both. Moving on to my thoughts on the sound. On stock, it's of course sounds so smooth as expected, and it didn't have that raw and dry plastic sound to it. I also didn't hear some spring pings and scratches, which is really impressive for what they claim being hand lube. To be fair, batches may differ, so let me know how's the lube on your batches. Going back to the sound, it has that clacky sound profile to it, but not too aggressive like their air switches and the CS Crystal Silver. This is more like on the subtle side, but you can really hear the clack that it brings out on my Vega. I would say that if you lube them further, it would further tone down, but honestly, they really sound very decent for a linear switch from Akko. This has gone up to my top 10 Akko switches in terms of the sound, and since a lot of you guys will be asking, versus the cream yellow, this sounds more clackier and high pitch versus the cream yellows that has that really creamy subtle linear tone to it. Overall, I would say that I am once again impressed by the new switches from Akko, and I'm really looking forward to what else they can bring in terms of the switch categories. I like how they toned down on releasing multiple color variations and trying to focus instead on improving the quality on their switches. Now for the pricing, does it justify the cost on the pre-lube versus the typical budget line of $8.99 a pack? I would say that it would really depend. If you really have the extra budget and really don't have a time on lubing switches, I would say yes, they are somehow worth it, but then again, the cream yellows, it's already smooth out of the box, so I would say that it would really depend on your budget and preference. I would say that if you already have the cream yellows, you're really not missing that out on the piano switches. But if you really want to try out different switches from Akko, I would say this is the one worth picking up. And if you want something outside of their budget line, please skip the air switches, the CS Crystal Silver, and the wine reds or something like that, and the other CS switches, and just go straight up to the piano switches. As usual, I really recommend getting one box first, and if you can try it out for a couple of days, and if you would really like it, you can go from there. And that is it for the video, guys. I hope you all like the review on the piano switches, and I do hope that you find it helpful. If you do, please don't forget to hit the like button, as it helps out my channel grow. So what's next? Well, we have one more Akko switch here, and of course the Modsgeek AM2 waiting to be reviewed, so stay tuned for that. And again, please don't forget to hit the like button, share if you want, and of course, subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys on the next sound test. Peace.